Hey guys, it's Athena. Welcome back to my channel. I hope you guys are all doing well. Today I decided that I was gonna do like a planned video that I had thought of, but then I kind of decided that I wanted to just do like a sit down video and just sort of let my mind kind of ramble and go on and just sort of talk about like what came to mind. Um, but I'm not exactly sure where I want to take this video, like the direction I want it to go in, but I've definitely wanted to talk about things like self-acceptance and authenticity and stuff. I know that Joshua, who is on YouTube, he had a authenticity tag that he talked about, and I thought that that was really inspiring, and I thought that that was great. And I've seen a couple different response videos to that, like Sister from Another Planet has she did a tag on that. There was somebody else that I had recently watched, and I think it might have been Celestia, I'm not sure, but there's someone else that I had seen their response to that, and I thought that their videos were really great. And so I kind of just wanted to talk about that and like just like authenticity and like self-acceptance and things like that. And for myself, like I think that I've always sort of I don't know, like self-acceptance. I mean, I've definitely gone through like stages in my life where like maybe I have been more self-accepting than other times. Like sometimes it's hard to not be hard on yourself, like especially if people around you give you a hard time. It can make you be very like internally reflective and like hypercritical about yourself, and it can sort of like deter you from self-acceptance. So that can be really difficult. I feel like in order to have self-acceptance, you have to be in the right kind of like environment and with the right kinds of people and sort of like on the same wavelength in order to really tap into like feeling the self-acceptance and the self-love and stuff like that. So it's sort of like you need a lot of different elements. I don't think that you can just sort of give it to yourself if you're kind of not receiving it from the environment you're in. So I think that environment is definitely important as well. So definitely like, being in a scope of like people who are, supportive and accepting of you is really important as well. For you to be able to like reflect on yourself and internally be able to be there for yourself and give yourself love. I think that that's super important. But yeah, so I don't know. I think like also being authentic, like as yourself, is really important. Just in your survival, and what is authentic to you definitely will grow and change throughout time. It's not going to stay like stagnant. I mean, you may have things in your life that you always know that you want to be or strive to be, and then you'll always hold fast to those things. Like that those are like your grounded self ideals and like character traits that you want to have, like honesty, love, respect for both yourself and others, things like that. But then also like, I mean, who you are is like kind of a journey in itself. Like, I mean, for myself specifically, I can't really speak for other people, but I mean, in some ways I could say that I know myself, and then in other ways I could say that I don't really know myself, and I don't really know who I am as a person. Like I feel like I have to sort of fall into it throughout the journey, and like you learn different elements throughout life. So I feel like I'm still in like a processing and observing and internalizing and externalizing stage in life where like I am not 100% sure of like who I am or what I want out of life or things like that. I'm sort of just learning with like, wide eyes and discovering and things like that. So it can be kind of hard to feel grounded. Like when you feel like that, like you sort of feel like you're floating just sort of like up in the air, and there's a lot of things that are like a lot of determining factors, and you feel like you're really processing like tons of information all of the time, and you feel like it's just so much to process that your mind gets really like chaotic and clouded, and it can be difficult to like really think of things concisely and in a way where you can like pinpoint like exactly what you're thinking of, or like a goal or outcome or something, or like even verbalizing like what you want out of life can be kind of hard. Like I know that I definitely want, you know, love and friendships and positivity and success and, you know, well-being and, you know, general health and mentally and physically. But I don't know like what, because people can say like, well, what is it that you want in life? And I mean, I could say that you want to have a journey of like, you know, adventures and a path that leads you to, you know, a destination that feels like you've learned a lot, you've learned a lot of things, you've experienced a lot of good things, maybe make a name for yourself, be like an advocate for things that you love or believe in, stuff like that. But I don't know, I mean, it's interesting because like, you know, you go through like different phases in life, and like right now, just sort of, I guess, after being out of school, I mean, in sense of like kindergarten through like high school, and then once you're in college or like in the workforce, I feel like it's also very different because, I don't know, maybe it's the age I'm at specifically, but being 20, like, I mean, it's hard to really venture out there and like socialize in the world, I feel like. Obviously, you can't go to like bars or clubs and stuff like that until you're 21. So, you know, there's that avenue that is sort of like closed off to you in terms of like making connections and stuff like that. And I know that there's other ways of meeting people, but you're still at a stage where like you're told no and you can't do things, just like societal rules. And, you know, obviously like the law, you can't like go to a club if it's like 21 and over. But I don't know, like it's just interesting because like I find that when I do go out and experience things in life, like I try and like put myself out there and like do things that, you know, are sort of out of my comfort zone, like, you know, go to a concert or go to something or like have a new experience or try meeting people, things like that. I mean, especially like romantically, it can be really difficult because finding like love and romance at this age is very, very difficult in the sense of like finding acceptance and love and like a healthy relationship with people at this stage of life. Like, I think everyone's sort of figuring themselves out, and everyone's on like a path of like self-discovery and, you know, trials and tribulations, and sort of like in this, I don't know, this like state of like adolescence, but also like newfound adulthood and stuff like that. So it can be kind of like tumultuous and difficult and sort of, I don't know, I mean, maybe for myself specifically, like sometimes I feel very much like a little kid, and then other times I feel like an adult, like somebody who has like a lot of knowledge on something, and I can look at, you know, like younger people and think like, wow, you know, I see the situation through a lens that maybe you're not able to, or like even with like siblings or something, like you look at them and you're like, okay, they're at this stage in their life, and you know, this is like where their mind's at and things like that. But then you're also like, well, I don't know if that's necessarily true. I think like we can know knowledge and be in like a earlier stage in life, just because sorry, my camera. Just because you're at maybe an earlier stage in life doesn't necessarily mean that you're not able to perceive or understand like information that might be something that comes from like a later stage in life. But sorry, I know I'm all over the place. I love making videos for YouTube, and I really, since I have the time right now and I'm not in class, then I really want to be able to make videos and talk and really just be able to make content and, you know, allow myself like a platform to just express myself and stuff like that. Because I don't really have like the social aspect of life, in the sense that like I don't have a social life where like I have friends that I go out with or talk to, and like I definitely have a lot of acquaintances and stuff like that, but definitely not like a big group of friends or anything. So YouTube is sort of like a place for me to voice just like, I don't know, myself, and sort of feel like I have a place, like a belonging to. So, and that's like a really good feeling, and you know, something that you feel passionate about, and like you can share things and express it with other people and stuff like that. I think that that's really amazing, and I love that YouTube allows you to have the opportunity to do that. I think that that's really great. But yeah, I definitely feel like that Britney Spears song, "I'm not a girl, not yet a woman," but it's so interesting to like growing into like being a woman and like what that means, and sort of like developing, you know, just everything. It's very interesting, and it doesn't even have to be labeled as like womanhood. It can just be like the human experience, like what it means as you go through like the human journey and stuff. It's very interesting, and very like subjective to everyone. Kind of has like a different experience. But there may be like similarities that people definitely can like understand and relate to, for sure. But I don't know, I mean, I kind of feel like, you know, I feel like the hot pink sheep that the black sheep don't really understand. I've always said that. And it's sort of, it can be hard, like, it can be hard to find, you know, peace. Like, you feel sort of like you're always searching for your tribe of people, you're searching for your place. And so, you know, with YouTube, I feel like I'm sort of like, you know, in a labyrinth of, and just in the world I'm in a labyrinth, but then with YouTube I can sort of like make a little fortress for myself, like make somewhere where I feel safe, in a place that's my own. So if somebody comes across that, you know, is on my path or in my journey, and, you know, I can meet them, then that feels cool and everything. But you sort of feel like you almost stop searching and you just start creating for yourself, like the different things that you want to experience, or like you sort of, I don't know, you look in, like for myself, I look inward, and then I try and do things that are beneficial to myself, not in a selfish way, but just like exploring like your creativity or like your hobbies and passions and things like that, to really distract you and, you know, for you to enjoy. Because I think that, you know, if you don't feel like you can find your place, then it might be hard to enjoy things and to really feel like, you know, connected and synced in with everything. That can be really hard. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I think like I'm proud of myself for exploring different hobbies and learning new things that I, you know, am interested and curious about. But, you know, you sort of hope for more of that in the world, like outside of you and with other people. You don't want to just only be connected with yourself. You also want to be like connected with others, because I think that, like, I don't know, I really enjoy and love having human connection and meeting people that, you know, even if they're on like different paths and stuff, like as long as you're on the same wavelength and like, you know, respectful, like open-minded, just like interesting people, then I think that that's really great to like find and connect with, and really beautiful. But I mean, it can also be scary because you know, a lot of times if you're by yourself and you don't have a group of friends, I've noticed that you know, you can be very susceptible and vulnerable to like predator type people, especially like men, um, can be sort of a difficult thing to, you know, bypass, in the sense that like, you know, older men, you know, even if you're just like out by yourself, like they might sort of prey on you, and if they sense that you're like nervous, or you know, maybe you look like you want to strike up a conversation or something, just in general, you know, they might sort of like pounce on that and then be like very manipulative. So it's hard to sort of, and it doesn't have to just be men. It can be, you know, anyone who's out for something, some type of gain, some type of like, you know, I don't know, they want something from you, I guess. So that can be kind of hard when you put yourself out there, um, because you're not really sure of people's intentions. And, you know, it happens where like you finally do have a conversation with someone, like a stranger, but then it turns out to not be like a really good connection, and it kind of is like awkward, and you don't really like, you can kind of tell what their intentions are, and you sort of don't mesh with them at all, and you know, they kind of make you uncomfortable, and then you sort of get this like, you know, sour kind of sad feeling like, oh my gosh, you know, I finally had a connection, but it definitely didn't, it wasn't the type of connection that I wanted to have with somebody. So that can be, sorry about that, my camera cut out. But that can be hard to do as well, to keep yourself, like, it can be hard to keep yourself in an authentic state, because maybe that state of being doesn't really allow you to find people easily, because I don't know, I mean, I feel like if you're authentic to yourself, and you know, if you're in tune with like the things that you want, or like if you have standards for people that you want to allow into your life, or things that you feel comfortable with, and then you don't sort of negotiate those things, like you really stick to your guns, then it can be hard, because you might feel like, you know, people might say like, oh, you're being really, I don't know, maybe like you're never gonna connect with somebody 100%, so, you know, maybe you're being too hard on people. But I don't know, like I think if you really do like not feel like an easy connection with a lot of people, then I think that in certain circumstances, it's not necessarily your fault. I feel like certain people are just unique, and like it it is hard to find like genuine connection when you're being yourself, because like if you're being yourself, then you're sort of working in your own unique narrative and world, and you're not conforming with other people. But then the people who do conform, they're easily able to find one another, and like looks are deceiving. Like, you know, you might see a group of friends together, but like, are they really that close? Are they really all, you know, do they all really have each other's back? Are they having like a meaningful conversation? You know, looks are definitely deceiving. And granted, there can be people that do naturally and easily find like groups of people that they're friends with and stuff. But I mean, you have to sort of take with a grain of salt what you see, because I know that as human beings, like, you know, our first instinct is sort of like how we analyze the situation and people, and like if we see people together that look happy, we think like, you know, well, why can't I have that? And they have it, and you know, and it's not, and then you also don't want to fall to the other side of the spectrum where like you're cynical and you're like, oh, you know, happiness doesn't exist and it's all a lie. And because I don't think that that's true either. So it's hard to kind of be like in the middle of the spectrum. But it's not that it's hard to accept other people's happiness. I don't think that that is my case at all. I think that I'm very happy for people, and like I'm very glad to know that people out there can find happiness and love and things like that. But it definitely is hard to process that, in that, you know, you're still searching for those things and you still want those things in life, and you haven't found that yet. So, you know, it's you take it in a way where it's like a catch-22, like it's great and amazing and beautiful for others, and then for yourself you kind of, you know, still are like, okay, I'm still on my journey, I'm still just sort of by myself and trying to figure out, you know, how I can achieve those things or how they can happen. But I mean, in the meantime, like, I think that's the hardest thing, because people always say, like, oh, eventually you'll find those things. Sorry, I know I keep moving back. It's just because of the sun. It's like, it's rising up to like its highest point, I think, and then it'll be sunset. But yeah, so I don't know. I know this like video is all over the place. I don't even think I am talking about, I kind of am what I originally was talking about, like being authentic to yourself. But, you know, my final, like, I guess thought is that even though it is like a journey and it is hard to like be authentically, like, to be your most authentic self, because you might find that like you can't find your fit, but I think like just visibility and awareness and talking about it is really important so that people can, you know, feel like a connection, or, you know, they might not feel like they're alone or the only ones. Because like the human experience is really, it's such a vast and deep and difficult thing to like understand, or like piece by piece to understand. So like if you do have where you're able to share like where you're at, or like anything, you know, it can help people, and it can, you know, help them feel less alone, because at the end of the day, like we're all on the earth together, and we all are in our own little bubble, but essentially we're all in a bubble together, so, which would be earth. But yeah, so I don't even know what I'm saying. Okay, well, thank you guys if you've made it this far. I really appreciate that, and I'll see you guys in my next video, okay?